Fanthorpe, and I will be your host today. As always, we've made it to Thursday. I'm super excited for this session today. It's been a jam-packed week. We've actually gotten so much great insight this week, and it doesn't stop there. Here we go again. The numbers you need to know to drive your business. So we've got two returning guests, James McComb and Glenn Edley, and they kind of form this Thundercats, Transformers superpower when they bring their two businesses together as James and Glenn.com and provide us with all this great information and ways to grow our business. So get super excited about this session. Now, you might be streaming with us on YouTube, you might be with us on LinkedIn, on Facebook, or you might be with us here on Zoom. So no matter where you're tuning in from, please ask your questions. That's why these guys are here today, to get your questions answered. And you can do that by using the comment sections or the chat functions, Q&A functions on the various platforms. I'll jump from platform to platform throughout. That was a bit of a tongue twister, and be checking your questions. So do participate. Glenn, James and Glenn, welcome to Digital Boost once again.
Kia ora.
Kia ora.
Morning.
Oh,
yeah.
look, I came in with lots of pep, and so
Are we a bit flat? Do we need to?
Yeah, you.
No, that's why I start. That's why I'm going to be starting, because James will wake up in about 15 minutes.
Maybe about midday. Yeah, I'm not.
It has been a bit of a discombobulating week, hasn't it? That's a good word.
Love that word.
Discombobulating. So longest and shortest week, I reckon. So I'm looking forward to getting into these numbers that we all need to know. I'm going to go and check out what's happening in the background and make sure it's all functioning. And Glenn, you're going to drive, are you?
I am. I'm ready.
All right,
to
let's
go.
check your share screen. And James, you'll just be you can either decide to have your video on and hang out on the side as well. So you can pop in your 2 cents there.
Okay. All good.
Yeah.
Oh.
Right. Are we ready?
Yeah. Do a big smile. There we go. Get a thumbnail.
Right. So good morning. Today we're talking about the numbers you need to know to drive your business. So the title of our workshop today is So Your Business is Online, What Next? And this follows on from a workshop that James did a couple of weeks ago as well. And the outcome for today is knowing what you need to have in place to run an effective digital marketing plan for your online business. And we're basing this off all the reviews that we've done and worked out, what the numbers are, the real numbers, to save you time and to save you money and make really effective and better decisions for your business. So we're James and Glenn. I'm Glenn, he's James. And, with over 35 years of e-commerce and digital marketing experience now, we have produced hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue for our corporate clients. So we're bringing a huge raft of experience to this workshop today when we're both working together. We've known each other and worked together for over 10 years now, since James first came to our fair shores and rocked up to Noel Leeming and took on a big role there. So our mission, and this is something that we really want to put out in front of people today, is that we want to take 1,000 businesses to $1 million because of the impact that will have on the economy. So 1,000 New Zealand businesses to $1 million. Just knowing the types of businesses that we've been talking to, and a lot of those have alignment with community, we know that that's going to have a really big impact on New Zealand. So what we'll cover today: what is effective digital, how we see it. Data is crucial. There's a 5-part process to understanding your business. Raw data sucks. We'll show you why. Good data tells a story. Everyone likes a good story. The common mistakes we're seeing, and action steps. So what is effective digital. Like basically it comes down to this. How many magic words does it take to succeed with your online business? Just one. Effective. Am I up to slide 7 yet, James?
7 is the next one, Glenn.
7 is the next one. Right.
Oh, look, there was a bit of a catcher there. There you go.
I forgot about that. Right. Go, James.
Okay, so this is that shot you can see on screen is really highlighting the difference between just having a crack at online marketing and being effective with your online marketing.
Yeah, there's hundreds of things that get done every day, and just to have, there's always an effective way to do it.
So a little bit of context for you guys tuning into this. This is Tracy. She has recently opened her own jewelry store online. She's had many compliments with the designs and invested thousands of dollars getting a website set up, but she's struggling to make ends meet and the future looked bleak. Meet Dave. Dave runs the website and online sales at his work. He loves the buzz of online and making a sale, but the pressure of the business and the complexity of his job is affecting performance and his mental health. The complexity of e-commerce left Dave worried for his job and hurt Tracy's business. Then Dave got help from James and Glenn. He now knows how to see the simplicity in the data. He's able to focus on the marketing initiatives that really make a difference to sales performance, and now he can plan for future success.
Can I just point out to everyone on the call today, this is the first time that James and I have done a workshop where we're not really like sitting next to each other, and I've got the controls. So just bear with us a little bit.
So a really simple process. We provided Tracy with a few crucial elements to focus on, and now she's got clarity around what matters to make money in her business. She's no longer wasting time doing trivial things that aren't adding value, and she knows where to concentrate on her business and on how to build it. So from startup to star, Tracy now has hundreds of customers in her database. That's so important. Your database for your business, especially an e-commerce only business, is where all the value is. She spends her time now communicating with meaningful messages to her customers, and they reciprocate by making purchases. In Tracy's case, a fire now of roles. They understand what's happening to help the business grow, and they're all pulling together, which is something that wasn't happening before. Data is crucial. Knowing how to use the data that you can extract from online and be effective with that data really, really can change your business and ultimately your life. Data shows us how to use your website. It shows us how customers are using your website, where they come from, what they do, where they go, where they get stuck. It just uncovers a whole world of opportunity to make your business more effective. It's no surprise that Dave needed help in his business. He was completely overwhelmed by the data. I exposed this fact just by doing a simple Google search. You can all do your own searches to find out how much data there is in the world. But this fact startled me. From 2015 to 2017, more than 90% of the world's data was created. But that blew my mind. In 2020, 64.2 zettabytes were recorded. And I had to go and Google this to work out how big a zettabyte was. There's 21 zeros in that big number at the bottom of the screen. So a zettabyte is huge. And in 2020, we created more than 64.2 of them. It's phenomenal. So much data in the world these days. And that is compounded by the fact that our friends at Facebook collect data on you, even if you don't have a Facebook account. And this came up as I was researching the contents of this slide. Google, this is a bit scary. Google knows the following about most of us. I'll rattle through this as quickly as I can. Your name, your gender, your birth date, your personal cell phone, your recent Google searches, the websites you visited, the fact that if you've got a smart home, the fact you turned on the bedroom light last night, exactly where you've been over the last several years, your hobbies, your interests, your passions, what you like to drink, what you like to eat, where you work, where you live, what videos you watched on YouTube, the stuff you searched for. And if you have got Google Home Assistant, it keeps recordings of your voice, not only to see what you did, but also to help its algorithm get better at understanding different voices. So there's so much data in the world. It's pretty phenomenal.
It is phenomenal, right? Shout out to Tracy from Aramoana Jewelry too, for helping us vicariously with that story. So look, the 5-part process to understand your business performance. So we've broken it down, and we're going to call it the effective digital method, because that being effective is far more useful than being efficient, because you can be efficiently ineffective, right? And one thing that people keep coming back to us is they don't want us to add time. Like, they don't want more work to do. And so many agencies seem to just be adding work to their clients. That doesn't work. They're already busy. So what we're constantly doing is working out what we can take away. And that comes down to roles and responsibilities and what people want to hand over. But for us, in the effective digital method, everything starts at benchmarking. Like, you need to understand your current performance, right? You need to be able to spot those opportunities, and you need to know where to set your goals from. And that's what our reviews are all about, is about benchmarking, so that when we can decide where we're going to go. And this is how we know, like, that we can take 1,000 businesses to $1 million, because if we know where you are, we can then set the goals in place. And you notice, like, we haven't put a timeline on that, because for some businesses that could happen in 12 months, and it has. And for other businesses, it might take 3 years. But, you know, by having a plan, we can get there, right? And that plan starts with benchmarking. So then we get into attract. So, you know, most people understand attraction. It's, you know, drawing things into you, being attractive. This is where we understand the web traffic volumes and trends. And the key metrics that we're looking for here is the visitor count. So how many visitors, your channel contribution. So what each channel is actually contributing to that traffic. This varies from site to site depending on their marketing, current marketing. We like to see, I'm sure you'd agree with this, Jace, but we like to see a more even spread than what we see on a lot of websites.
Yeah, I think attract is the channel contribution is key to our methodology. We see when we deep dive into a site, we tend to see a big twist towards one particular channel of traffic, so one source of traffic. Really, the problem with relying on one source of traffic is that it's one source of traffic, and if something happens to that source, then you are a victim of whatever the implications of that are. So a good, solid strategy for your traffic acquisition is to spread the load. Make sure you're receiving traffic from multiple places.
What it shows us generally too is that if you're getting a lot of traffic from one place, then you're kind of building your business on that. And I'm just gonna quote a classic there, Glenn. So there's, I mean, it doesn't need to be quoted. There's a lot of news out in the world and a lot of hype in the world about building Instagram audiences and Facebook groups and audiences and such like, and relying on Facebook ads, for instance, or Insta ads to drive traffic to your website. And look, don't get me wrong, some of them are so smart, really clever, hyper engaging. But if you're spending all your time delivering ads, creating ad content, and running around trying to thrash this thing through, so you're constantly posting ads out into that environment to collect traffic, then
it will be good for that time, that when you've got the algorithms working for you and you kind of got your niche sorted and it's happening, that's great. However, what happens when Zuck up in the US decides to tweak a thing, and all of a sudden your ads don't get the same coverage or traction they did before? Your business suffers. So again, it's really obvious, but when you're this close to it, when you can't see the wood for the trees, it's really easy to chase down a rabbit hole.
It's to us, it's busy work versus effective work. And also, like, we find that people, once they spot this, they're like, oh, actually, I can actually be more effective by spending my time over here, which is developing content, offers, products, whatever, than just spending a lot of time potentially just posting on Facebook. But look, there's different stages that businesses go through. Facebook is and social is great for education and awareness. So it's just converting all of that into a customer database that you own. So traffic, it looks like this, right? When you look into your Google Analytics, this is obviously quite good traffic, and it tells a story. As you can see, the traffic to this site looks like it's decreasing over time. So look, at Execute, we understand like your audience and your marketing. So our key metrics here are the channel performance. Now, channel performance can be easily measured by like per user. So how much a user is worth for you. We'll go into that a little bit later, but like, your impressions, clicks, how much it's costing you to get that, and really looking at a return on ad spend. Now, your return on ad spend, there's only really one place to look at that, and that is Google. Because if you are looking, and why that is because last click attribution, and it's, even though it shows you where everyone came from, but I feel like too many people are getting stuck in their Facebook ROAS. And we had a client who's had like 42 or even up to 50x return on ad spend. And that just blew a couple of minds, because most of you are sitting at, excuse me, today on 4 or 5 or so and thinking that's good. However, what we realized is that actually those numbers were kind of wrong. And, what was actually happening when we got to the website was not what we could see over here in Facebook. And so a user, an email user, for example, was worth $11 something, and a social user was worth $1.25, and we were paying like $1.15 or somewhere up there to get those users. So you quickly understand that while this looks amazing because of the getting all the retargeting stats and everything in there, when it actually comes down to it, social people weren't buying and they were costing us money. So because we needed to just keep converting that. Anna Marty, did you want to ask a question?
I did. Well, I wanted to ask if you wanted questions now, or how you wanted to do that, actually, because we do have a question, but I know sometimes you like to save them.
Oh, we can have one now. Go.
Okay. So the question is, Lara, thanks for tuning in again. I always love to see you like we're learning together. We're on this journey together. Yeah. It's what about bounce rates?
Yeah, bounce rates are important, but bounce rates are they're not a vanity metric. That's not true. Bounce rates are more of a measure of how well you've crafted your page and how engaging it is within first visit. Of course, bounce rates are important, but we're talking here more about a higher level management perspective rather than an in the moment kind of campaign perspective around a particular moment in time. If you consider that a website will typically run a promotion, a sales promotion, hopefully you guys running your websites out there have got a regular rhythm to your promotional activities. We can talk about that later maybe. When you pull together a campaign that's advertising a particular thing, whether it's an offer or a product launch or whatever it is, the bounce rate is typically affected by what the user sees when they first land. If they're on mobile and you haven't got a mobile friendly site, I expect most of you have these days, but if you haven't, then you're going to have stinky old bounce rates. They're going to be horrible. So yeah, bounce rate is more, it is and it isn't, it's a bit of a gray area, but it's more about the layout for your campaign, how your site operates for that moment in time, rather than the management metrics that you use sitting over the top of all of the intricacies about how your site and business is progressing over a longer period of time.
Lara, I'd also like to say in there, like we look at things weekly because we can get a clearer idea of what's going on instead of day by day. Like we meet people who are logging into their GA every day. That's fine, but it actually it doesn't give you a good picture like looking at a week does. So in corporate land, we're looking at a week and our performance over that week. And the other thing is with bounce rates is that you really need to actually be looking at not only where they came from, but just seeing where they're landing, because there could be something going on that you aren't even running yourself that's happening in Google or and I've had this happen on my own website where there's this page that's just been kind of grabbed by people and they're coming to there thinking it's something that it's not, basically, right? So you need to have a look at just dig down into what page they're coming to you on your website, where they're bouncing from, and then have a look at where that came from, because then you'll be able to do something about it as well. Hope that's useful. Lara always asks really good questions, by the way. Right, so this is what that data looks like. We're looking at acquisition and demographics, but that's where we get these metrics from. So, again, we always find like when you dig into the weeds in here, we can see where traffic's coming from. We can see some pretty good numbers here. As you can see, this is a business that does quite well.
I'm just going to butt in here as something I realized that we haven't put in these slides, Glenn.
Yeah.
Lots of clients we come across, typically, let's just pick an example. They use a Shopify as their platform for their website. Now Shopify's got some good little stats running away in it. It's got a nice little, reasonable little analytics kind of section within Shopify. However, I very rarely look at Shopify analytics when I'm working on a client's account.
They don't tell the full story. They don't tell the full story, do they? Right? Even if we look at
my advice, my guidance to the guys out there who are running websites is install Google Analytics and use it. It is free. And one thing to think about, and this is a bit of an aside, one thing to think about is once your business is humming and you've outgrown whatever platform you're on at the moment, when you migrate to a new platform, if you don't use Google Analytics or another third-party analytics engine, I suggest you use Google Analytics, you'll lose all your historical data. So if you just rely on Shopify Analytics, and look, don't get me wrong, dive into the analytics in Shopify, have a look, answer questions that you might have, etc., etc. But be aware that if you move from Shopify, you're going to lose all that data, all of that historical visitation data.
Yeah.
So absolute must install analytics. Why wouldn't you? It's free.
Although when it's free, you're the product, right? But that's another.
There is that. There is that.
But it's such an amazing tool. I mean, it is such an amazing tool. So it's worth having for sure. Look, at Convert, we understand, sales and sales efficiency. So when we are talking about sales efficiency here, it is actually efficiency and not effectiveness, because what we're doing is actually looking through the pages and seeing how quickly people get to a sale. And we'll show you what that looks like, because you can actually see in a lot of websites very quickly see like, oh, it's the product page that's not good. Okay, cool, because we've got a lot of traffic to that product page and we're stalling. And this is where the reporting that we use makes that very easy to understand. So we're looking at transaction counts, channel contribution again, the conversion rate, super important, and the average basket size. This can obviously vary from business to business, but a lot. But that conversion rate across that sales, let's call it a funnel for now, because that's the only word I can think of. That's where we can start making changes and tweaks that will make a big difference to your business, right?
Also understanding conversion rate by channel. What you'll see, what you should see in your metrics, because you've listened to Glenn before on Digital Boost telling you about how to run email. What you will know is that email is one of your highest, or should be one of your highest performing channels. So if you look at
at least 30%. Like if it's not 30%, then for us, we're looking at your business going, wow, we've got a big opportunity here to make some money.
Yeah.
You know, so think about that number.
Yeah, conversion rate by channel is super important to wrap your head around.
Yeah. So that's what we're looking for here. So the raw data is looking like that. And then as you can see, like shopping cart, one-page checkout, you can start seeing how that all works across this. So, yeah.
So as you can see, next slide, please, Glenn. As you can see,
there we go.
A key aspect to reading the data is context. Imagine that you are presented with a sheet of numbers for a Monday. If you don't know what the numbers were the previous Monday, you don't really have any context about those numbers. So you always need context. Google Analytics does a reasonable job of providing context, as we can see on this example on the screen. We can see that on the users section of the first line graph, we can see that there was a peak at the beginning of the month. And on the second line graph on the right-hand side, that's conversion rate. We can see that this client had a massive lift in conversion rate towards the end of the month. And I can tell you, just for interest's sake, that is actually lockdown. This is real data coming from a client. That is the lockdown moment when everyone went, oh, we're stuck at home, let's jump online and buy stuff. And that's what they did. However, as the question states on the screen, could you actually make a decision based off looking at that? I mean, you could.
Yeah. And this isn't much better, right? Like looking at, yeah,
this is a screenshot of MailChimp data. This is how MailChimp serves its data. I'm horrified / aghast / surprised that MailChimp still serves data in this format. However, it does, and hundreds of thousands of you around the world are expected to make
14 million users now.
There you go. There you go. So just to summarize that little section, the best data tells a story. Why are stories good? Well, stories are easier to understand. This is an example of the report that Glenn and I use to analyze a business. In this report, this is looking at the visitors by location, so where they are, that come to a website, and it dissects those visitors by channel, so we can see which channel they use to come to the website. So we can see, I'll just dive into this very briefly. We can see.
I just have to say, James, I'm not sure if you've got a timer on, but yeah, we need to push on.
Okay, right. So we can see here the first third of this line graph doesn't have the light blue segment. The light blue segment in this case was Google paid ads. And we could see that once we turned on Google paid ads, yes, we lost some of the dark blue, which is organic, but the total increase in traffic absolutely came to us. So by using this context, each line on here, by the way, is a week. By using the context of looking at performance by week next to each other in this format, we can really easily paint a picture of what's going on for this business. Okay, next slide. This is the same format graph, but this time we are looking exclusively at revenue. So this is how revenue was made on the site, the location it came from around the world, and the channel that that revenue came to us by. Okay, next. This is the graph that developers love. This is the graph that the business owner can look at and see the actual sales funnel of your website. So if you have an e-commerce website, it is a glorified sales funnel. You pour people in the top of the funnel, your homepage, or landing pages. And hopefully a percentage of them dribble out the bottom end. In this case, 3.06%, you can see it, top right-hand corner of the graph, actually made a purchase. So, and these are the various layers or steps in the purchase funnel, excuse me, on the way to making a purchase. So this enables us to highlight what step through the website is failing us with regards to providing a slick sales process.
Can you just comment, like, I mean, this one's actually pretty good, but can you comment like what we're usually seeing, James? Like, I'm sure people are going to ask us this question, right? What's good? So would we say that this is good?
Oh, crikey. Okay. If I think about that big corporate job you mentioned earlier, when I first joined them, we had a conversion rate of 0.2%.
That was terrible.
When we left, it wasn't as good as 3%. I can tell you that much. We were on about 1.5%. So, but it was a big brand. We had lots of traffic. We had lots of organic traffic coming to us because the brand was an omni-channel retailer that had like 70 something stores across the country. And so we naturally gained a lot of traffic just because of the size of the brand and the notoriety the brand had in the marketplace. People knew to come to that brand for whatever product they're after. The highest, the 3% is not too shabby. I mean, look, it can be better. We've got a program in place. I'm hoping to get that to 5. It's going to be a bit of an ask to get it to 5, but I'm hoping to get it to 5. The highest conversion rate I've ever seen, and we saw it the other day when we did a deep dive for a client, is I think that was at 11.5% from memory.
Yeah, it was. That was insane. We've never seen.
I've never seen a website conversion rate to sale of 11.5%.
Yeah,
like,
it was
so,
crazy.
wow.
Right, we better push on. So common mistakes. I'm going to whip through this because like I only like taking 35 minutes or so we can have more Q&A. But look, here's the common mistakes, and we're seeing these honestly every week because we run these things every week. Basically, Google Analytics isn't installed. We're not sure why this is, but so many people have their Shopify website set up or whatever, Rocket Spark or whoever is there, and they haven't set this up. So whatever you do, make sure that you've got this set up. Remember to turn these on. Really simple. You have to turn on your e-commerce thing and your demographics. And James, there was one more thing that we haven't actually put in here either. We were discussing yesterday, and that was what it was to do with the privacy statement.
Okay, so installing analytics is crucial. When you install analytics, you will track traffic by default. That's what analytics does. These additional features we're talking about here, e-commerce, enhanced e-commerce, and the demographic tracking, Google has not activated them by default because there are implications for the privacy policy of your website. So you can go to Google and you can have examples of what you need to add to your privacy policy, but by turning these additional features on within analytics, actually you are legally bound to, in most countries around the world, to inform or make the detail available to the visitor of your website that you have added an extra layer of tracking, cookies and all that wonderful stuff that we're hearing a lot about in the news at the moment.
Yeah. We're going to come up with a standard policy, I think, aren't we, that we can send to people if they'd like it. But I'm
pretty sure there's already one available. If you jump online, give it a Google, and you will find a relatively generic privacy policy statement that you can adopt for your own sites.
Yep. So the next thing that I see as well is that the domains aren't verified, and people ask me, "Oh, why is my email ending up in spam out of MailChimp?" And that's because they haven't done this. They haven't verified their domain. So that's the URL.
Explain to me, Glenn. What does that mean?
It means that when you're sending that's a good question. It's sending when you're sending your email comes from your domain name. So that'll be, like, for example, Amelia at pottedplanter.com. So it's Potted Planter. So we need to verify that pottedplanter.com is actually owned by Amelia and it's used in this account. Otherwise, like it can be used for phishing scams and things like that. So it's very crucial that you do this and verify not only the domain, but the email that you're going to be sending from. And this process here, which you can see at that domain, at that URL, it'll just make that easy. And yeah, we can help you with that if we need to, but it's like, make sure you do this. And they won't end up in spam, basically, because MailChimp, this means that MailChimp's deliverability team can make sure that, you know, your emails are actually getting into the inbox. So really important. So look, Effective Digital uses data to tell the story of your business. And as you can tell, like James and I are very much about this story idea, right? Because it is a story. And you have to think about, like, what's your story right now? Is it the one that you want? Because a lot of people, it's not. Sometimes a lot of people, it's a bit frustrating. They've plateaued. They're not sure what's next. So, you know, but this data really can help you tell the story of your business. So that's why what we've decided to do is run, basically, we're calling it a lockdown special, but it's going to be the Effective Digital Workshop. So you're going to learn how to be doing effective digital in your business. And this is where we want to save you time and money so that you can focus, you know, and be effective and get your data sorted, like everything, and get this report that we showed you, get that actually set up for your business so that you can spend, you know, 15 minutes a week or so looking at it and know what's working, and go back to either, you know, the agencies you're working with. It's a very powerful report. What comes out of our reviews are generally some very hard questions for agencies involved, and that's because too many people set and forget.
Yeah.
And they answer that question by, they say, oh, are you doing Google ads? Oh yeah, I've got that covered. But they've forgotten about what it's actually doing, right? You cannot set and forget. You need to set, report, and review, like constantly, right? Once a week is enough. You'd also in this workshop have hands-on help, like, you know, we'll be there and we're going to put people in hot seats and actually, you know, help them set up these reports and
yes.
really see.
So the idea of the workshop is that what we'll do is we'll actually access your GA account. We'll plug it into our report, and Glenn and I will be online and we will deep dive your business via the report, and we will give you our advice on what you've got, what you're missing, what could be better, and maybe even how to go and achieve those. So we're trying to add some value back there.
Yeah, I actually am really excited for this whole workshop that you're putting together, and just the fact that, like, one thing for everyone to understand is that because it deals with your personal information, there's a lot of stuff that we can't kind of put up here in these public forums. That's true. You know, organizations like this, you know, they're able to help, but we don't want everybody here to know all your personal details behind your websites and behind all of that. So there's some things that we can and can't do on our Q&As, and these guys are kind of helping to further educate if that's something that you're interested in.
Yeah, and look, there's some actions from today, because I always love to leave people with actions. You know, set up your Google Analytics, verify your email, and book your spot. There is a minimal fee for that. And if you go to that spike.co.nz/workshop, yeah, we will. It's
kind of like, I guess, like what I wanted to say was, you know, Shopify a while ago, they did like a boot camp and you could register for that. And they did a special rate like for digital boosters, and they met with them outside of Q&A time, and everyone got personal attention, and it was really well received. People got help building their site and stuff like that. And so occasionally we have organizations that come forward and say, hey, look, we want to do this deep dive. because due to the personal nature and the time involved, it's not something we can put into a Q&A. And we like to put that out there as an offer to you. It's your choice on whether or not you want to take your learnings to a different level. So that's kind of the special offer you're putting forward to digital boosters. So there was a question there saying, can I bring a colleague? Yep, because it's not actually on our platform, it's on their platform, so you can do whatever you like with it.
Yeah.
Now what I've done is there's a what's that?
It'll be a party.
Yeah. But
or maybe
you
not.
be guaranteed that it'll be excellent, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Let's hit off some of these questions. So at what point, so I've kind of also, I'll drop that link into the chat just so that people have a direct link to it.
Thank you.
For the workshop. Actually, Glenn, you can see the questions.
Yeah, I
if
can.
You do that.
Yeah.
Do you want me to ask the questions and I'll find the link?
Yeah, okay. Oh no, I've got it. Sorry. I think it's site.co.nz.
Just make sure it goes to everyone.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So it's in the chat. Glenn Toss. Oh no. Okay, I can see.
Yeah. So just on that URL, there's a little form to fill in. Just fill in the form and we'll get back to you.
Can I just say, like, if there will be limited numbers, right? Because we are going to offer quite hands-on help. Yeah. But the thing about it is that, you know, the thing that you are going to be sharing your numbers. So if you are not keen to share your numbers, because we feel that that is how people learn, by helping each other, is by sharing numbers and knowing, you know, oh wow, how are you doing that in your business? Like we can do one-on-one, but that's a completely different thing. But for this workshop, we want it to be open. So
yeah, and that's how they did it kind of on the Shopify one previously here on Digital Boost. Everybody went and registered off onto the Shopify site, and you had to be cool with other people seeing information about your business. You know, we just like to kind of allow people to know that there are other things out there if you're interested. So here's a question from Charlie. Welcome back. I've seen your name before. So it says, at what point would you have helpful data? I have only set up Google Analytics 3 weeks ago, and I'm learning how to read this, but I'm finding there's not a lot of data yet. Is there a time you recommend when data starts becoming helpful to look into? Great question.
James.
So the more data, the better, obviously, because it paints a more of a picture. Hence the call in the Prezzo for us to get you guys to turn GA on. Really speaking, it depends on how much traffic you have coming to you. So the data, the story is in the volume of traffic. This is a volume play. If you are receiving, I don't know, a couple of hundred visits a week, then a week's worth of data is enough to have a view. What will happen over time as you collect more data is your view will become less cloudy. You'll be able to be a little bit more precise. You'll have a better understanding. So a week's worth of data, if you've got 10 or 20 visits in a week, then forget it. You need to leave it sitting there for a lot longer. However, even with 10 or 20 visits, you're still going to see the channel that the customers came to for your site. So there's still something in that data. The bigger the data, the clearer the picture. There's no real answer to that question. Okay.
Corey, can you track an individual user's journey on your web page and see exactly what pages they went to on Google Analytics?
That is an advanced analytics question. So there is the ability within Google Analytics to assign a user ID to each individual. It is not set up by default, and it requires some extra JavaScript that is deployed, I believe, only through Tag Manager. That does enable you to create a segment for a particular user ID, so you can see what they've done through the site. However,
could I add in Hotjar there? Because Hotjar will tell you. Okay, yeah, cool.
You've been watching these videos on Digital Boost, haven't you?
I've been around, you know.
Yeah, it won't necessarily give you an exact user, but a really good additional source of data is Hotjar. Hotjar is a free video recording kind of service. It records what users do on your screen. Again, you can install it really very easily. It's one of my goes. I install when I turn up on a website and start managing a client. I do two things. I make sure GA set up and I install Hotjar, and they are my two go-to sources of information.
Someone actually said to me once, one of the panelists here said that sometimes they just sit down with a glass of wine and just put their Hotjar on and just watch what people are doing on their website.
Yeah, that's a really good way to deal with it, right? Because the problem with Hotjar is that you're watching someone use the website, so it chews up an inordinate amount of time. You can actually play back the recordings at double speed, triple speed, etc., etc. But grabbing a cup of coffee or probably a glass of red is probably the way to go.
Yeah.
And sit back and watch how your site gets used is a
it's cool because you can see like, oh, why didn't they click on that? Like they went to here, but then they didn't go to there. I wonder why that's not happening.
I think Laura's just given us our topic for the next for our next show, which is how to use Hotjar.
Cool, that'd be great. Okay, so another question here. For one account, I can't see any stats on demographics, and I know there are visitors. Any idea?
I can only imagine that you haven't enabled the demographic setting within GA.
For that account.
On that account.
On that account.
Can you have it enabled on both accounts? Is that a thing? I don't know enough to.
Every account you can enable it.
I think they call it a view within GA, and you'll probably have to dive into each view and enable it. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Such a great graph. What type of graph is this, please?
I've been busting to answer this. So I'm going to answer it. So Lara, that's our graph. And the only place you get that graph is when you work with James and Glenn. Like that's it. That is like our 35 years of combined experience in a 5-page report. And it's a CEO report is what it actually comes down to. These are the reports that we use to feed upwards because CEOs don't have time to look and they just want to know. So you can dive down into it as it gets deeper and deeper. There's actually 11 or so pages all up. But this is years of James online turning it into something really, really useful. That you can basically spend 15 minutes a week on and know where your business is tracking. Because honestly, I've seen people get lost in Google Analytics and it's just a waste of time. So sorry, you won't find that anywhere because basically like James built it.
Yeah, I think fabulous. Love it. Guess when I get trading, you're going to gain a client. Lol. Hilarious. Lara, you're a star. Corey, thanks for saying thanks. Lara also had a thing here. Yes, please, to the privacy policy. I don't know. I know that you mentioned that. Is that something we can
I think if you come along to our workshop, we'll make sure that we'll actually make sure we put that onto your website on that day. I think if you haven't done it by then. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure, like James said, if you Google, do a search for the privacy policy, I think we did find several good ones. Okay. And it's just a paragraph basically that you can add. Sometimes I'll tell you what, another place to go, Lara, is the Marketing Association, because there's a guy there, is it Ken? He's super good at privacy, and there's some good privacy policy stuff on their website generally too.
Yeah, cool. And then Deborah's just asked that you're going to make sure that everyone understands and knows how to read Google Analytics in the workshop.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, Deborah, we'll do better than that, Deborah. We will show you how to read our report. And by coming along to the workshop and partaking in that, we'll set you up with our version of the report that we showed examples of here, and we'll teach you how to look at that report to actually dissect what's happening within your site and make some decisions going forward.
We're also going to
sounds like I need to do a session on Google Analytics as well, and just make sure people know how to read that data. I actually think we have something booked in. I'll have to have a look.
I think though that like it. We want to make it easy to read, and that's why all the reports that we ever see, and why I showed MailChimp, I never report out of MailChimp. You know, we take all of the data out of MailChimp, out of Klaviyo, because it does not show you what you want. Do you know what I mean? Like there are stats. So one of the key stats for email is list growth from week to week. Like that's what you want to be seeing. You can't see that in MailChimp. So you have to pull it out. And like, you know, this is where Google Data Studio is amazing. And we've built our own dashboards over the years as well, but nothing is ever perfect. And so we were like, oh, what are we going to use? Google Data Studio. With GA, it's automatically fed in and it's live. With MailChimp and Klaviyo, there is some live, but it's actually easier to export it. So on that workshop, we will show you how to export your email data as well and feed that in, and what numbers that you need to be looking at, because you know, I usually have data scientists doing this or data people, but actually there is a way that we can show business owners how to do this and present that data in a way that's super, super useful. Because honestly, like we don't have time, right? As small business owners, especially online, you know, talking to Steve from Appleby Games, I mean, that dude works till 4 a.m. I know he gets up late, but it's like, how do you put our stuff into someone like his business? And it's basically we're extracting, like we're taking away responsibilities of Google Analytics and putting them in a really easy to read report.
Yeah. So a couple more questions here. We always get heaps in your sessions. So what's the address for the guy in the market privacy place? Was that market, you said, I think you were just saying market.
Marketing Association. Marketing Association,
okay.
Mara.
Marketing Association.
Yeah.
Right, cool. Do a little Google. If you have any trouble with that, just contact support@digitalboost.co.nz and we'll have the team help you out. Alternatively, you can always ask the guys over at Menaki, because they also have like 250 experts on staff all the time that could possibly supply you with where to get that or even know it offhand. There's a question here. Oh, okay. So that's just a comment. I'll read that at the end. And then the next question is, if you use Shopify Mail, does this transfer back into Google Analytics, or does this need to be looked at separately? Thanks heaps. This has been super helpful. Oh, that's
does it transfer back? Yes, if you put UTM tags and things on it, but mostly Shopify Mail is only in Shopify. Like we don't use it. Like it's not.
Just to have a think about this. So one way to think of Google Analytics and how it interacts with your business is basically by activating Google Analytics, you are sticking an ear or a pair of eyes onto your website, and those eyes or that ear listens to what's happening on your website and reports it back somewhere. It records something and reports it back. So if you drive traffic from Shopify Mail and that traffic goes to your website, Google Analytics will see that traffic arrive on your website. What it's labeled as, where it turns up, what it gets to, what it does when it's there is dependent on the situation. But analytics will see a visitor arrive.
Okay, cool.
Thanks, Deborah. We're waiting for those announcements as well.
Yeah. Okay, great. And another one from Joanne. Awesome. Workshop sounds great. Not just data and traffic, but learning other areas within analytics reporting that may have not turned on and understanding Google Analytics.
Right.
Yeah, that's cool. I think that's a really great idea to like expand your knowledge, especially when we know that data is king. Like it really does change the way that we do business. So this has been such an awesome session. Oh, I just want to jump and sorry if you're on Facebook. I've been in here because we had so many questions.
While you're doing that, like, you know, for a few years there was this whole talking about big data and everyone's into big data, and it actually is useless. So just because you can collect data doesn't mean you should. And the thing about it is that what we found with big data, I mean, hey, I had 2 full-time data scientists on my team up until a couple of years ago. And the thing about it is that like the small data was actually the important stuff. Like actually looking at like James's report and tracking things through, unfortunately, we had to trawl through tons of data to get that. But the fact is that, like, I really am hoping that with our workshop, people understand the data in their personal business and how they can, like, I love how James talks about the story of your business and create really good stories. Because, like, I'll repeat our mission. We want to take 1,000 businesses to $1 million in revenue. And, and we think that a lot of those businesses are actually on Digital Boost right now. Yeah. And so, wherever you are in that cycle, James and I have taken businesses from zero to many, many millions of dollars. And that's why we can say, like, we hear a lot of people talk, oh, I've done, listen to me, we've done millions of dollars and tens of millions of dollars. And it wasn't until one day James and I were discussing this, we're like, actually, we've produced hundreds of millions of dollars. And so we decided, you know what, we're going to tell people that, because, our wives probably say, oh, that we look a bit arrogant when we say that, but it's not. It's just, we just want to tell people we're confident in what we do. We've got 35 odd years of experience, and it's simple. This is simple stuff that a lot of people are making seem complicated, and it's just not. And we want to give people their lives back, because we just see so many online business people just stressing, and it doesn't have to be that way. And it's not why they started their business in the first place.
Oh, I almost feel like we should finish on that note, because it was a great note. That's, I think, the whole aim of Digital Boost in general, is just to help folks get their ducks in a row, understand the technology that's out there that has grown exponentially over the past year and a half. Like, I think something like 10 years worth of tech development has happened in 1 year due to the pandemic, and just be able to get ourselves back on our feet and understand a new way of doing business, and taking our businesses to the next level. Like, a lot of folks just moving from that brick and mortar kind of situation to online. And tech is a language. I often didn't think of it as a language. I thought about it as like a tool, or like a like a new system I had to learn. But if you start thinking about tech as a language, when you learn the language, when you learn a new language, we all know that you start to be able to see things happening around you that you didn't know were there, because you didn't understand the words, and that's what this whole program is. It's teaching you a language so that you can be a part of this whole other world that's already out there, really. And you can take advantage of it and explore it, and make it your own, and use it to your benefit with the things that you're trying to do to make this world a better place, because I know that's what our digital boosters are all doing. And I think that's us for today. I want to say thank you, gentlemen, for joining us this morning on Digital Boost. It was a double pack.
What was it? We were some kind of cartoon character, aren't we? That was.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. Like the Thundercats, or like they used to come together and they would all jump into this one big cat or something, and they would be crime fighters together. They were like a superpower. There's been so many of those, and those were the only two I could think of. Just some really lots of, thank you very much, valuable session, fantastic information, couldn't agree more. My focus is on why I started this journey in the first place, but intention is to operate smarter than my competitors. Hence, that's why I'm here. Well, girl, you are doing the work. All booked. See you in September. Awesome, Blue. See you then. And have a look out for more sessions. I don't know. Do we have more sessions lined up? I think we do. So you'll definitely be seeing these guys on Digital Boost again. Thanks for joining us on this Thursday morning. Book us in for tomorrow morning. We will be doing, I should always have that in my ideas of what we're doing, so I can let you guys know at the end of the session. 3 ways trade owners can price to win work. And that's going to be, it's going to be really good. It's with Dan Pollard from Fergus.
Nice.
So,
yep.
Yeah. Last time he was on, he was like, he didn't have a slide presentation. He just like laid out some really good common sense business practice. It was really good. So I encourage you to tune in tomorrow again as well. Stellar lineup this week. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Warren.
Kia ora. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Have a great day.